This was the week that China's maritime dispute with Japan took to the skies. Last weekend, Beijing announced that it had created a new air defense zone over a group of uninhabited islands at the heart of a territorial dispute in the East China Sea. The 5 islands and 3 rocks are known as the Senkaku in Japan and the Diaoyu in China. Following its unilateral move, China will now require flights passing through the new Air Defense Identification Zone, or ADIZ, to notify Beijing or risk unspecified emergency defensive measures, according to the Chinese government. Japan's 2 largest airlines, JAL and ANA, instantly complied with the order. That position was at odds with the Japanese government, which has refused to acknowledge the zone, which overlaps with its own ADIZ. But on Wednesday, JAL and ANA said they no longer were complying with the Chinese order after receiving instructions from Tokyo. The mounting tensions are part of a broader battle for influence in the Western Pacific between China, which has expanded its navy over the past 2 decades, and the US. Washington signaled its displeasure by flying unarmed B-52 bombers through the zone on Tuesday without seeking permission from Beijing in advance. The Pentagon said the flights were a long-planned training mission and insisted that the US would continue to operate in what it considers to be international airspace. South Korea and Japan have also revealed this week that they conducted surveillance flights in the Chinese ADIZ without warning Beijing. The new US ambassador to Japan, Caroline Kennedy, was drawn into the dispute in her first week on the job.
Unilateral actions like those taken by China with their announcement of an East China Sea Air Defense Identification Zone undermine security and constitute an attempt to change the status quo in the East China Sea. This only serves to increase tensions in the region.
Meanwhile, the Chinese Foreign Ministry defended its decision to institute the air defense zone and condemned the actions by the US.
那么中方呢宣布划设东海防空识别区，行使正当的自卫权利。那么在这个发布之前呢，我们也就有关的问题呢，同有关的国家进行了通报。那么我们愿意同有关国家共同的努力加强沟通，来维护地区的和平、稳定以及飞行的安全。
The Chinese claim is part of a broader effort by Beijing to assert greater control over the seas that surround it and to push back against US influence in the Western Pacific, where the US Navy has been dominant since the end of the Second World War. While China may not have convinced Japan and the US to comply with their new rules, one thing is clear: the Senkaku Islands have become the most dangerous flashpoint in Asia and arguably the world. Demetri Sevastopulo, Hong Kong.